Hi guys, welcome to the channel. It's Gail here. I hope your week has been good. Mine has been alright. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. Kindly stay tuned, don't leave, don't go away, and subscribe while you're at it. You are not going to regret it. If you're returning, thank you so much for continuing to support. And if you've been returning and you haven't subscribed, I don't know what your problem is, to be honest. Why haven't you subscribed? Please subscribe, okay? Please subscribe to help this channel grow. So today we're going to talk about the NHS. So what about the NHS that we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about people's perceptions of the NHS. I know you've already got an idea about what people think about the NHS, especially if you're in the UK and you use the NHS quite a lot, or if you work in the NHS, you've got an idea what people feel. So just to give you a bit of a background, especially for those that have not got a very good idea about the NHS. So the NHS is a National Health Service, one of the biggest organisations in the UK that offers free healthcare at the point of care, supports primary healthcare and also secondary healthcare, like with caring for people in hospitals and stuff. The NHS supports GPs to look after people free of charge. So the aim of the NHS is to support people, provide free healthcare from the cradle to the grave. So from the time they're born to the time they die, that was the aim. And the NHS was founded in 1948, so that was 5th of July 1948. So it's been around for about 70 years now. So within that time, obviously there are a lot of things that have changed within the NHS. Healthcare has improved dramatically. I think the life expectancy has, increased dramatically since the time that the NHS was founded until now. So there are a lot of very good things that have happened with the NHS. A lot of changes have happened as well with the structure and with the settings. Governments have changed. There have been pandemics. There have been a lot of things happening. So there's been a lot of changes. I just wanted to find out what people feel, how people feel about the NHS now. So I found an organization called the King's Fund. So it is an independent charity that has been, trying to do research and stuff just to help with health and care in the UK. So they've been doing these sort of surveys since 1948 to date, just to see how things are working in the NHS, what people feel, and how things can improve. At the time when it was founded, there was a lot of mixed feelings about it. Doctors were practicing privately, so people were paying for their health, and a lot of the money went into the doctors' pockets. So they felt like the NHS was going to ruin their business. So a lot of politicians, a lot of people in the medical sector were against the NHS. But obviously people pushed for it. The politicians obviously voted in favor of it, and it came to stay. But yeah, in that time, a lot of people were, it was like a breath of fresh air for people, because imagine having to pay for every single care. And mind you, at that time, people were not rich. People were not, I would say, with the standard of living, it's better now because there's a lot of industrialization, there's a lot of work now. But in that time, a lot of people were not working, and the system wasn't as developed as it is now. So you would find a lot of people were probably, average earning. In 2017, that was like decades after the NHS was, started, and this was pre-COVID. The King's Fund conducted a research just to see how people were finding the NHS, and then I'll read what people thought for you. So in 2017, 53% of all UK citizens, people in the UK in the survey, felt that the NHS was providing expected levels of care. So more than half the population were actually quite satisfied. They got what they needed when they got into hospital, when they were ill. They felt like they were looked after quite well. 20% felt like the NHS exceeded their expectation. That is a very substantial amount of people. So 20% of the population felt like the NHS was doing more than it was even intending to do. Like, it was mind-blowing for them. They were super proud of the NHS and what it was doing for them. And you have people who would not be excited for one or two reasons. You had 18%, who felt like the NHS fell short of the goal or of what it was meant to do. Now, fast forward post-COVID, in 2022, this survey was repeated, but then if this research found out quite a significant difference. So in 2022, the survey found out that overall satisfaction with the NHS had dropped to 29%. From 2017 to 2022, that was in 5 years, in just 5 years. But then just remember that there was a major event that happened in between. So COVID has changed a lot of things in a lot of countries, and it really, really impacted the NHS because the pressures and, you know, the stress levels and everything skyrocketed. And even with that, a lot of people died anyways. A lot of health professionals died as well. It was horrendous. But yeah, the NHS has survived. So pre-COVID, obviously, the rates are expected to be different. But yeah, the drop was quite significant. So 29%. So it's close to half of the population that were initially happy. About half of them feel like they're not happy anymore. And the survey says that has been the lowest level of satisfaction since the inception of the NHS in 1948. And I felt like I wanted to get individual views about what people think. Why are people feeling dissatisfied with the services? So there are a lot of reviews on the NHS website. Most of the reviews there are about hospitals, like when people go to different trusts and they get services and they're happy, they put a review about that particular trust. But I went to TrustPilot, which is quite, I like an independent review body in the public domain. The information I got on TrustPilot was about the NHS in England. So not the NHS all across the UK, but NHS England. And the thing is, you can't really trust information on this website because the number of people that have completed reviews are only about 900, and that is nowhere near a representation of, you know, people all over England, because the population of England is about 55 million and only 940 something have completed a review on Trustpilot. So you don't really get a good picture about what everybody's feeling. But according to these 900 and something people who are filled in reviews, I will let you know what they felt and what they feel about the NHS. So overall, the review is quite bad. It's quite poor. A lot of people are not happy with the NHS. When you look at the reviews on Trustpilot, a whopping 81% gave the NHS 1 star. Only 12% of these 900 people gave the NHS a 5 star, and you had, you know, 3%, 2% given 4 star, 3 star, 2 star. But yeah, 81% gave the NHS 1 star. Now, I just wanted to find out why the people that gave the NHS 5 stars did. And I'm just looking down at my scorecard, you know, just trying to read the common things that resonated with people that gave a particular number of stars. So for the people that gave 5 stars, so that among the 12%, some people recommended, you know, some particular trusts for being very good, for being substantial and delivering a high quality service. They commended the ambulance service. They feel like the ambulance responded very promptly to their calls in emergencies. They felt like the NHS, the hospital, the trust that they attended gave them everything that they would expect and desire from the NHS. Some people spoke about surgeries. They felt like they were really impressed with how things were carried out, tests were carried out. Some people felt like doctors or professionals really did their best to sort of investigate and find out what was wrong with them and get the solution for them. So people were really at a high level of satisfaction, and they felt like the NHS was in very good standing, and they were pretty pleased with how things were being run. Now, the people that gave 4 stars were obviously quite impressed, but no, not enough to give them a 5 star. So similar things, satisfaction with things in the hospital, only felt like, you know, just a few more things could have been improved, like waiting times and, you know, stuff like that, or maybe attendance time. But overall, they felt like the advantages or like the good experiences that they had quite exceeded the negative experiences that they had with the NHS. Now, the people who gave 3 3-star. There were 3% of people that gave 3-star. So they felt like they were quite on a middle ground. So they felt like the NHS, delivered what it was supposed to deliver, saved their lives, but also, had a lot of criticisms about the NHS. So a lot of people who were not happy with the way maybe a doctor approached them, the way a nurse, or how, investigations were carried out. But overall, felt like the NHS achieved its job by making them well or saving their lives. So they're quite pleased, but felt like there are a lot of things with the quality of the services that could be improved. Now, when you get to people that gave 2 stars, they were very, very unhappy with the quality of service. A lot of people complain about dentists. People feel like dentists are non-existent. Like so many people have not been able to register with a dentist. A lot of dentists have stopped accepting new people because they're full, they're at capacity. There are a lot of people in the UK who have not got dentists looking after them, have got no oral care. Obviously, if you've got emergency needs like emergency gum problems, tooth abscess or whatever, you can go through to the NHS through emergency services. But for routine services for your teeth, there aren't enough dentists, and people that gave 2 stars did resonate with that. A lot of people also complained about ambulances and arrival times or response, and quite a number of people were quite unhappy with the general quality of care in the hospitals. Felt like they didn't have enough communication, felt like doctors were not pushing enough for them, felt like people were dismissive of their concerns and their complaints and whatnot. Now, the people that gave 1 star, and I had people who felt like they didn't want to give any star to the NHS. Some people were very, 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 very distraught and I would say appalled. Some people use very, very strong languages among the people that gave the 1%. So that's the 81% of people that have completed the reviews. Some of them use very strong language to show how angry they were, or appalled or disgusted they were with the service. Amongst their chief complaints was that was with the GP system. So a lot of people are quite sad, with the state of the GP system. They feel like the GPs are not concerned about them, felt like GPs are not doing enough. Some people felt that, the NHS app was not given what it was supposed to give. Some people had issues with the ambulance, felt like they had to wait ages and their loved one's life was in danger. A lot of people had complaints about investigations and the care that doctors were given. I had people who were saying the NHS refused to give them a particular kind of care, which they had to look for privately. So people who gave 1 star felt quite strongly about things, and they showed it quite strongly in the way that they gave their comments. I understand some of these concerns. A lot of it, I would say, some of it I would say, are beyond the control of the government. Sometimes, no matter how good we do, it doesn't show because the system is flawed in a lot of ways. If you have very few staff working, no matter what they do, some people are going to miss out. Some people are going to have a very good experience, but we're not going to be able to cover everybody, no matter what we do, especially if we're continuously drained and continuously overworked and continuously demotivated. And I'm not saying that a lot of nurses don't like what they're doing. A lot of people are quite happy with working as nurses, but there's a lot that needs to be done. And people feel, the NHS is free if you look at it, but people feel like they're paying through their taxes. But obviously, the cost of treating some illnesses super exceeds the amount of taxes that some people are paying. If they had to use their taxes to pay for their healthcare, they will not be able to afford it. But people feel like as long as they're having their taxes deducted in support of the NHS, they are paying for healthcare in a way. Personally, I'm very, very proud of the NHS. I've received care from the NHS and I was completely amazed, didn't pay a dime, apart from, medications or stuff that you may pay for if you haven't got the waiver. But with a lot of things, I don't pay, you know. I don't think people have really sat down to imagine how things would be if the NHS, you know, was completely scrapped and people had to pay for care. Because even in rich countries, there are a lot of poor people. So there are a lot of people who will not be able to afford care. A lot of people in the UK are really struggling with economic crisis and cost of living crisis and whatnot. So imagine taking the NHS away. People are really going to struggle. The reason why a lot of people are surviving, living long, is because of very, very good healthcare. And I know there are a lot of things that need improving with the NHS. I work there. We struggle with staffing a lot. A lot of staff are undermotivated, feel undervalued, feel underpaid, you know, and a whole lot of things, feel overworked. And that needs to be addressed. But despite all of the negative things, I think the NHS is something that the UK and people should fight for. So yeah, I mean, this is just a little bit about what people think and what I think. What do you think? I don't know, whether you're in the UK or outside, you can sort of resonate. If you're outside the UK, what do you think? You know, people are paying health surcharges in here. What do you think about the NHS? And for people who are enjoying free healthcare, what do you also think? For people in the NHS, what do you also think? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. I will stop rambling now because I can go on and on and on for ages. So I'll see you guys again. Peace out.